All of the official Madden 23 ratings have officially been revealed by EA. They dropped everybody else that was still remaining, so we're just going to go over all the positions today and kind of look through them. Starting here with the quarterbacks. Now, here's the top 10. We've got Tom Brady at a 97, Aaron Rodgers at a 96, Patrick Mahomes at a 95, Josh Allen at a 92, Joe Burrow at a 90, Dak Prescott at an 89, Justin Herbert at an 88, Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson at an 87, and Matthew Stafford at an 85. Now, the QBs are pretty polarizing. Probably the biggest group that I disagree with the most. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with where certain players rank. It's not always about the overall to me. It's more about where do they rank compared to other players. So, for example, I think the top 4 guys are right. I think Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, and Allen are the top 4. And then once you get from 5 to like number 10, then it becomes a big debate where you want to put people. Now, I will say I don't agree with Rodgers being below Brady right now. I think at worst I would have them tied. I would probably have Rodgers one above Brady. I know he's the back-to-back MVP. That doesn't necessarily mean I think he should be 99, but I don't think he should be below Brady. I'll just say that. I'm pretty happy with where Mahomes is. He kind of had a little bit of a setback year last year. Nothing crazy, but 95, he's still one of the best. Josh Allen finally getting some respect, which is nice at a 92. You can maybe say you might bump him up 1 or 2, but I think he's still in a good spot. Now, I'm actually surprised to see Joe Burrow at a 90. I didn't think they would give him top 5. I know he made it to the Super Bowl, but I didn't think they would bump him up that much. I'm a diehard LSU and Joe Burrow fan. I don't even think I would put him top 5 just yet. A lot of people think Dak Prescott is too high. I disagree with that. Now, I will say the guys under him, I think probably should be rated over him, but I don't think Prescott himself rating-wise is too high. I think a lot of people refuse to accept how much Dak has improved as a quarterback. Like, he's a really good quarterback, and I feel like media and a lot of people have this narrative about him that he's not as good as he is, which is weird. Now, personally, would I take him over Herbert, Lamar, or Russell right now? Probably not. I would definitely put Russell and Lamar over him. I think those two guys are way too low. I think it's like an overreaction to them not having the greatest year last year. So this is kind of all jumbled up for me personally. I think the top 4 guys are right. After that, some guys are just too low and some guys are just kind of out of order in my opinion. Going to the next tier of QBs, we got Deshaun Watson at 84. He hasn't played in a bit. He's got the allegations. Last time he played, he was a guy, I think, high 80s, low 90s. That's probably where his true talent is, but there's a reason he's rated low. Kyler Murray at 84. He's always kind of too low in the game in my opinion, but I think a lot of this is just stemming from the fact that he was a little hot and cold last year, but the playoff game, the last game of the season for him, it was one of his worst, probably was his worst performance ever. It was really bad, and I think that's really what's dinging him a lot. Otherwise, he'd probably be up a little bit higher. Derek Carr, probably a little too low as well. Everybody else right here, I'm not too mad at. I would say maybe you could bump Mac Jones a little bit. Mac Jones is still a little bit of an unknown. He had some really, really good passes last year, had some bad ones as well. But yeah, I mean, if you put him at like an 80 or something, I wouldn't mind. Kirk Cousins, I think, is kind of entering the territory as well, where he's becoming a little overhated. I think he actually had a pretty good year last year. I think 80 is a little too low. Like, 83, something like that would be a little more respectable, I think. And then these next group of guys are mostly kind of QBs that either haven't proven themselves completely yet or they're in a prove-it year, right? Trevor Lawrence, I don't think his rookie season was as bad as his numbers, but didn't have a lot to work with. He'll probably have a better year this year. Tua, it's definitely a prove-it year for him. They went out, they got him the weapons. They got the fastest receiving core in the league. We know how good Waddle can be. He'll probably only get better. They got Tyreek Hill. They brought back Mike Gesicki. They got the fastest running back group as well. They bring in a new head coach that a lot of people are high on. I think it's definitely a prove-it year for Tua. Kind of the same for Jalen Hurts, right? Another guy that you kind of need to see him take that step now. They went out and got him some more weapons as well, right? Devontae Smith last year, he's proven he's going to be a good receiver. They went out and got A.J. Brown. They've got Dallas Goedert, one of the better tight ends. They got a good O-line. It's time for Jalen Hurts to kind of prove it, and he can move up. Justin Fields probably still going to take a little time. It's his second year. Doesn't have a lot of great weapons, so I'm not really going to fault him if he doesn't have the craziest year. Carson Wentz kind of passed the prove-it point to me, but he's still got a chance here. He's got some decent weapons there in Washington, so we'll see what he can do. Zach Wilson, again, a guy, they went and got him some more weapons. We'll see what he can do. And Trey Lance, I mean, I think he's supposed to be the guy this year, but they still got Garoppolo, so I don't really know how that's going to play out. Now, we've already covered the halfbacks in another video, but we'll just briefly breeze through them. I've already kind of spoke my piece on this. I feel like Christian McCaffrey's too high, only based on the fact that they pretty much lower everybody else when they miss consistent time with injury. They don't really do it with Christian McCaffrey. And I'm on record saying when Christian McCaffrey's healthy, he's easily a top 3 running back, maybe even the best when healthy. But he hasn't been healthy in 2 years, and if they're going to knock other people, they should probably knock him as well. I would probably have Jonathan Taylor bumped up because I think he's clearly already proven where he ranks in this league. Derrick Henry being number 1, I think, is still fine. I would just bump Taylor up and I would bump McCaffrey down based on what they do with other people. I would definitely bump Kamara up a little bit as well. I just think he's a little too low. Other than that, not too mad at it. Maybe Austin Eckler up a little bit as well. Fournette, I talked about, I was surprised he was rated this high. Not that he's not that good, but that he's that close to guys like Eckler, for example, which I think there's more distance between them than just one overall point. Saquon's a little lower because he's kind of been dealing with injury and he's been in a bad situation, so it's kind of hard to properly rank him. Najee Harris, after a good rookie season, I think he's rated about where you rank most second-year players that have a good rookie season, mid to high 80s. Then you get to the next group of guys, and I said I like most of these except Javonte Williams. I would have had him bumped up a little higher. I think he's going to have more of a Jonathan Taylor route where he was good in his rookie year and he's going to have a really, really good second year. Probably not on the level that JT had because that was an insane second year, but I think similar in the fact that he's going to really burst onto the scene much more in this second year and he'll easily be like a high 80s guy. But I would have started him out a little bit higher because in his rookie season, I think he proved how good he already is. Continuing on here with the next group of running backs, DeAndre Swift was the main one that stood out. I felt like 80 was a little too low for him, but other than that, most of these guys I would agree are probably where they should be. Raheem Mostert at a 78 does feel kind of low, but he's just always getting hurt, so it's hard to see him be consistent because he's just never on the field that much. But I think when he is on the field, he typically is a guy that you would say at worst is a low 80s, maybe the mid 80s guy, but he just can never stay on the field for extended periods of time. Now, the wide receivers were a bit controversial. Now, I'm fine with Devontae still being a 99. I personally think he's still the number one receiver in the league. Cooper Kupp obviously had a historic season, so you could argue that he should be a 99 as well, and I wouldn't be mad at it. If you maybe pick between the two, I would still pick Devontae Adams. I think he's just a little more well-rounded, but you know, if Cooper Kupp starts the first couple games like he did last year, he's gonna very quickly become a 99 anyway. Tyreek Hill's still up there, still one of the best overall receivers in the league. DeAndre Hopkins, again, still one of the best. Same with Stephon Diggs. Justin Jefferson coming in at 93. Some people feel this is too low. I think it's a respectful rating. I mean, he's dominated his first 2 years, but again, I mean, if the first half of this season continues how he did the last 2 years, he'll easily be 95, 96. Between him, Diggs, and DeAndre Hopkins and Tyreek Hill, I think all those guys, you know, there's an argument right now because Justin Jefferson has been that good, but they're probably going to want to see him do it a little bit more, which I get. Mike Evans, 92. Keenan Allen, 91. That's usually where they come in. Terry McLaurin, 91. I like that they're giving him respect. His numbers don't really show how good he is. He's dealt with some terrible QBs. Hopefully Carson Wentz can at least be better than those guys were, but if you watch the tape, Terry McLaurin is literally always open. If he had a good QB, he would probably be top 5 in stats every year for wide receivers. Amari Cooper at 90 is where things get shaky. I just don't think he should still be this high. Michael Thomas, again, you know, a guy that they lowered quite a bit, that didn't play all last year, but they don't do it to guys like McCaffrey. I don't get it. When Mike's healthy, you know, he was a top 5 receiver. We'll see if he can still be that. But really, when you get, you know, down, you've got like Metcalf and Chris Godwin and Deebo Samuel at 89. Some people think those guys should be higher. Deebo especially because he had a crazy year. I'm okay with it because that was his first like really crazy year. The other 2 years weren't anything that special. And a lot of what was special about him was what he did in the backfield, which doesn't factor that much into the wide receiver overall. So I kind of understand his rating. And again, he's another case of if he starts doing that same stuff again this year, he's going to jump up quick. AJ Brown, Brandon Cooks, Jamar Chase at 87. That's where people got mad. Jamar Chase being 87 felt disrespectful. He was definitely a top 5 receiver last year. One of the best seasons we've ever seen. Not just a rookie season. It was just a really good season overall. But they never do that with second-year guys. Justin Jefferson came in last year at 87. I believe Michael Parsons is coming in this year as 87 after having a crazy rookie year. 87, 88 seems to kind of be the cap for second-year players at the start of the year. Again, Chase will probably very quickly be in the 90s, at least by the midway point of the season, if he's even close to how he was last year. The next tier guys, you've got Ridley, Mike Williams, Robert Woods at 86, CeeDee Lamb, Deontay Johnson, Hunter Renfrow at 85. Maybe CD could be a little higher, but I'm not too mad with these guys. Sutton, Waddle, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Boyd at 84. Devontae Smith, Jarvis Landry, Michael Gallup, Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins at 83. I would maybe bump T. Higgins a little bit. You know, he was really good last year. Here are your top 10 tight ends. Travis Kelce, number 1 at 98. George Kittle right behind him at 97. The 2 best tight ends in the league. They're kind of interchangeable in my opinion. I think they're about right. Mark Andrews was amazing last year, and he's been good since he's been in the league. 93. Some people think he should be more 95-ish. I don't really disagree. I mean, he was really good last year. Darren Waller at a 91. Another guy that's been good for a few years. You could say maybe he could be a little bit higher, but not too mad at it. TJ Hawkinson at 89. I think he's actually a pretty good tight end as well. Kyle Pitts, again, another second-year guy that was great in his rookie year. That 87 seems to kind of be like where they cap you off to start start the second year. He'll probably shoot up into the top 5 pretty quickly. You got Gesicki at an 86, Dallas Goedert at 85, Hunter Henry and Zach Ertz at an 84, Dawson Knox at an 83, Tyler Higbee at an 83, Dalton Schultz, Noah Fant at an 82, Evan Ingram at an 81, David Njoku, Robert Tonyan at an 80, Austin Hooper, CJ Uzoma, and Pat Freiermuth at a 79. Now let's look at the offensive linemen. So we have a 99 overall here with Trent Williams. No arguments there. I think he probably right now is the best just overall offensive lineman in the game. Zach Martin at a 98. Never seems to be able to get that 99, but he's consistently like 97, 98 every year. Quentin Nelson at a 95, one of the best guards in the game. Tyron Smith, still one of the best tackles in the game. He's kind of going up and down a little bit over the past few years, but he's back on the upswing. David Bakhtiari at a 94, Teron Armstead at a 93, Lane Johnson 92, Corey Linsley at a 91, Tristan Wirfs at a 91, Jason Kelsey at a 90. Jason Kelsey's starting to get a little older, coming down a little bit, but not much of an issue. These are all really solid guys. Joel Bitonio, Ronnie Stanley, Ryan Jensen all at a 90 makes sense. Rodney Hudson at an 89, Ryan Ramczyk at 89. Now, Ramczyk is the third highest right tackle, which is probably right. Him, Wirfs, and Lane Johnson. I think they're somewhat interchangeable. I think Ramczyk's a little closer to them than the rating says, so I would say like 90, 91, but it's nothing that big of a deal. Wyatt Teller at 89, Joe Thuney at 88, Laramie Tunzel at 88, Brandon Sheriff and Frank Ragnow at 87. La'el Collins at 87, big pickup for the Bengals. They definitely need help on that O-line, and they got it. Shaq Mason at 87, Creed Humphrey at 86, again, good rookie season, second year player, mid to high 80s is usually what they do. And same thing here. Later, we're going to talk about somebody else that's in that kind of same boat. You got Braden Smith, David Andrews, Eldon Jenkins, Kevin Zeitler, Rob Havenstein, all at 85. Chris Lindstrom at 84. Maybe he could be a little higher. Jordan Mailata at an 84 as well. Colt Miller at 84. Rashawn Slater at 84. Here we go. The next second year guy. He's a little too low. I think he's a little bit in the lower 80s. Guess technically mid 80s, but he should be up there where like Creed and Jamar Chase and those guys are, 86, 87. Rashawn Slater was really good as a rookie. Now we're kind of getting to the bottom 80 guys. Jake Matthews, Laken Tomlinson, Taylor Lewan at an 81. Got a bunch of guys here in the 80s. Jedrick Wills at an 80 feels a little bit low. Penei Sewell at an 80, a little low as well. Now here's the one that aggravates me. Eric McCoy at a 79. Look, I know I'm a Saints fan, so I'm going to notice my players more than other players, but that's just very disrespectful to me. I mean, at least put him in the low 80s. Like he's better than that. Now we're going to look at defensive linemen. Now keep in mind, some of these defensive ends are more like edge players because they play in a 4-3. Some of them are more interior, so it really would be nice if EA would just put edge in the game as a position, because some outside linebackers are edge, some DNs are edge. It just kind of confuses them, so it is what it is. Aaron Donald, always a 99, one of the best players of all time. He'll probably never move off this rating as long as he's playing anywhere close to how he is. Myles Garrett, a 99, which I think is deserved as well. I think he's the hardest to block edge rusher in the game. Nick Bosa at a 94, you honestly could bump him up because he's probably the second hardest to block edge rusher in the game. Cameron Hayward, an interior defensive lineman at a 93, he's really good. Vita Vea, 93 at D tackle. Jonathan Allen, 92. Von Miller, 92, still one of the best. Cam Jordan, 91. Chris Jones and DeForest Buckner in the low 90s for defensive tackles. DeMarcus Lawrence at 90. Kenny Clark at 89, Fletcher Cox at 88. He's been coming down a little bit. Jeffrey Simmons also down to 88. He might be just a tad too low as well. Michael Pierce at an 88. Calais Campbell at 87, along with Daron Payne and JJ Watt. Eric Armstead and Brian Burns come in at 86. Chase Young and Quentin Williams are also coming in at 86. Grady Jarrett, Trey Hendrickson at 85. Trey should definitely be at least a few points higher. I mean, he's had two really, really good years in a row. Akeem Hicks, now with the Bucks at an 84. Still solid, but not who he once was. DJ Reader at an 84. Javon Hargrove at an 84. Carl Lawson, Emmanuel Ogbah, and Leonard Williams at an 83. Robert Quinn at an 83 should definitely be higher. I mean, he had a resurgence. He's playing better than that right now, just to be fair. Jadeveon Clowney, Marcus Davenport at an 82. Yannick Ngakoue at an 82. Derek Brown, 81. Ed Oliver, 81. Brandon Graham, David Onyemata in the 80s. Josh Sweat in the 80. Montez Sweat as an 80. I think he could be a little higher. BJ Hill at a 79. Dexter Lawrence at a 79. Jerry Hughes kind of starting to go down a little bit more at a 79, maybe a little too low. Al Woods at a 78. Now we're going to look at the outside linebackers. Now again, some of these guys are edge guys. Some of them are more stand-up linebackers in a 4-3, so it is what it is. TJ Watt, 96. Most people think he should have been a 99. I don't really disagree. I think as the overall package and everything he does, defensive player of the year, I like Myles Garrett at 99. Same with Aaron Donald. I wouldn't mind TJ Watt being there as well based on what he's done these last couple years. Khalil Mack at a 92, Joey Bosa at a 91, probably the best pass rush duo in the game unless I'm forgetting somebody. Chandler Jones at a 90, Darius Leonard, not an edge guy, this is an actual linebacker at a 90. He's the 5th overall just stand-up linebacker, which might be a little low. He should probably be bumped up a couple points at least. I think he's always a little underrated in the game. Rashawn Gary, Roquan Smith at an 89. Roquan, you know, you can argue maybe could be a little higher as well, but he's really on the up. I think he's going to go up a lot this year. Daniil Hunter, Michael Parsons, Shaquille Barrett at an 88. Some people thought Parsons should be higher, just like Jamar Chase. It's the second-year guy thing. There's kind of a cap there, and he's pretty much at that spot until he proves once again that he's still that guy, and then he's going to be in the 90s. Matthew Judon, Max Crosby at 87. Crosby, one of the more disrespected guys. I think he should be in the 90s for sure. It really doesn't make sense. I think he had the most pressures in the league last year. Don't know how he's still 87. Another guy that's typically underrated in the game. Zadarius Smith at 86. Josh Allen at 85. Melvin Ingram, Shaq Thompson at 84. Harold Landry, Logan Wilson at 83. Hassan Reddick, Preston Smith at an 82, Matt Milano, Randy Gregory at an 81, Leonard Floyd at an 80, and then we got a bunch of 79, 78 guys here. Not too much of a problem with where most of these guys rank. Some could be a little higher, but it's nothing egregious. Now we're looking at the middle linebackers. Now keep in mind, some of the outside linebackers are kind of more with these guys, like a Darius Leonard, for example, because they kind of play more of a similar position. They're stand-up linebackers. They're not edge rushers. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the game at 94, which I think is correct. I'd even say you could bump him a little higher. Demario Davis coming in at the second highest with 93. I actually like that. I think finally getting some respect. Levante David at a 92. He's still that good, so I agree with it. Bobby Wagner at a 91. Kind of debatable. Some people think he should be a little lower at this stage of his career. He's definitely not the guy he was a couple years ago, so there's some debate there. Eric Kendricks at 88. That feels about right as well. He's still really good in coverage, not the best versus the run. So Leonard basically fits in right under Bobby Wagner here, and at the very least, I would move him ahead of Bobby Wagner. I would have him probably equal with Levante David at 92 at worst. That's my opinion. Devondre Campbell at 87 is nice. He's been kind of an under the radar guy that's been really solid, so good to see him get love. Devin White at 85 is right. Some people think it's too low, but honestly, just not the best guy in coverage, and that's what's holding him down. But he's good at a lot of other things, so I think the rating fits. Tremaine Edmonds at 84, CJ Mosley 82, Deion Jones 82, Denzel Perryman, Jordan Brooks, Miles Jack at 82 as well. Then you got a bunch of low 80s, high 70s guys. The main one that sticks out to me is Nick Bolton. I think he had a really solid rookie year, very under the radar. I think he should be higher than a 79. It's cornerback time. This is always, I think, the most debated list. Everybody thinks their team has a top 5 corner, just how it goes. Jalen's still number 1 with the 98. I think that's right. He's the best corner in the league, and then there is a gap, which is shown here. Jair Alexander, 94. Tre'Davious White, 93. Those top 3 guys, in my opinion, not debatable. Those, I believe, are the top 3 guys. After that, when you get from like 4 to 12, I mean, like, you really can debate all these guys. Darius Slay finally getting love. He usually never gets that much love in Madden. 92. Don't know that I would quite have him as the 4th best cornerback personally, but, you know, it's good to see him get love. Denzel Ward, 92, I'm cool with. I do think he's a top 5 guy. Like seeing Marshawn Lattimore get love at 91. They got him rated as a top 6 guy, which is, I mean, that's about right. Some people say top 5. The league, I think, did a vote and he came in number 2. I wouldn't even personally, as a Saints fan, put him number 2. I think 4 to 6 to 7, like that's the range I think he's in. So I like that. Gilmore, 91. He's not the guy that he was a few years ago, but still good. JC Jackson and Marlon Humphrey at a 90. AJ Terrell at 89 is a very good up and coming cornerback. He's probably going to shoot up into the 90s quick. I think you could have even given him a 90 and that would have been fair. Kendall Fuller, Xavier Howard also tied for top 10 at 89. Xavier Howard, always underrated in Madden. He's always the one that people get most mad about. I personally would have him over Fuller and probably over AJ Terrell right now. I would bump him to like a 91 and I think that would be fair. They always kind of rate him a little too low for some reason. Byron Jones, Casey Hayward at 87. Kenny Moore, another solid guy at 87. Marcus Peters at 86. Cheeto Awuzie at 85. Shaq Griffin, Trayvon Diggs at 84. Some people are mad about Diggs. Look, a lot of interceptions, but he also gives up a lot of yards. It's kind of, you know, he give it, then he take it away. We'll see what he does this year, but I think when you give up as many yards as he did, it's just hard to rank him that much higher. 84 still means he's a good cornerback, but he's not top 5 just based off picks, and I think that's why he's rated lower. Patrick Surtain at 83 is one of the guys I think should be higher, like maybe 85, 86. He was really good as a rookie, but 83 for a second-year guy is still pretty good. William Jackson also at 83. Adoree Jackson, Bryce Callahan, Byron Murphy, Carlton Davis, Darius Williams, Jamel Dean, James Bradbury, Jalen Johnson, Mike Hilton, all at 82. A bunch of guys here that are good, but they're just not elite. Also got Teron Johnson at 82, Dante Jackson at 81, along with Greg Newsome, Jason Verrett, Jonathan Jones, and L'Jarius Sneed. Chavarius Ward, DJ Reed Jr., Kyle Fuller, and Rasul Douglas at an 80. You also got Rocky Sin, Steven Nelson, and Trayvon Mullen Jr. at an 80 as well. And then the top of the 70s, you've got a few guys here. Bradley Roby, one of the veterans there. Desmond King Jr., I think he's probably a little too low. I think he's a little better than that. Sean Murphy Button, and the second-year guy, Eric Stokes. Finishing off with the safeties, Tyrann Mathieu still coming in as the top safety at 94. I love that for my team. I would probably personally have Derwin James over him at least. I think he's the best safety, and I think he will finish the year rated as the best safety. Budda Baker and Kevin Byard at a 92. Good to see Byard finally getting love because he's usually too underrated in the game. Justin Simmons and Micah Hyde at a 91. I don't like Justin Simmons as the 5th best safety. I would bump him up at worst to a 92. He should be in that group. Same with Jesse Bates. I would bump him up 1 or 2. But the rest of this I'm okay with. Minka Fitzpatrick, another one of those guys that's always kind of underrated. Do I think he's top 5 personally? No. Top 10? Yes. I would bump him up 1 or 2 probably, but I mean, I don't hate his spot, but I would definitely think, I would say he's for sure top 10. I think to say he's not top 10 is a little disrespectful. Adrian Amos has been very solid for a couple years now. You could even argue he could be up a point or 2, but he, you know, these are still, to be in the high 80s still means you're elite, so I'm not too mad at it. Antoine Winfield, Devin McCourty, Jimmy Ward at 87, Marcus Williams at 86, another guy that's usually rated too low. I feel like bump him up to the higher 80s in my opinion. Quandre Diggs also very, very underrated. I think he's a high 80s guy as well. You got Adrian Phillips, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Jeremy Chin, John Johnson, Justin Reed, Kyle Duggar, and Von Bell at 82. CJ I feel like could be like mid 80s. He's usually a little underrated as well, but he's more of a nickel in real life than a safety, so I think that affects his rating a bit in the actual game. Amani Hooker, Kareem Jackson, and Xavier McKinney are at 81. Anthony Harris, Eric Rowe, Jabril Peppers, Jaron Curse, Logan Ryan come in at 80. Darnell Savage, Jalen Thompson, Jaquaski Tart, Cameron Curl, and Rodney McLeod Jr. come in at a 79. Let me know what you think about the ratings below, and if you want to know about the gameplay of Madden 23, check out this video right here on the screen.